Current data shows us that 52% of workers would consider changing jobs, with 44% that are actively planning to do so. Stop for a minute and digest the possibility that 44% of your team is actively looking for a new job. Today on the Champion Forum podcast, I'm going to be presenting how some of my very best clients have held great retention numbers even through the Great Resignation. Welcome back, everyone. Over the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be presenting a two-part series on the top 5 reasons that employees stay with companies. I'm coming up on my personal 5-year anniversary of launching Jeff Hancher Enterprises. And during this time, I have had the privilege to support some what I would define as best-in-class organizations. These are organizations that are just thriving in every area. And I have found that there is a very direct correlation between an organization's success and the retention of the people that they employ. Now, this is literally a straight line. The companies that have retained their top talent, it goes without saying, they have a competitive advantage. Low employee retention, it can be very costly to an organization. It can be detrimental to your business strategy, especially in industries where specialized skills are critical to the mission. Think IT, think hospitality, think healthcare, sales functions, maybe even some manufacturing positions where these employees have specialized skills and there's not a lot of labor out there maybe to fill these positions, but you have turnover issues possibly, and you are scrambling to get the work done. And typically what starts happening is you ask your current labor force to do more with less, hence causing even more turnover. Think about it. When an employee leaves a company, it takes a considerable chunk of time to deal with their departure. In fact, entry-level employees typically cost an organization 50% of that employee's salary to replace. Think about this. Now, this isn't showing up on your balance sheet, right? So it's not a line item that you're reviewing and saying, oh my gosh, what are we going to do now? But on average, if you think about it, there is a direct cost in retention and what it's costing your company. On average, 50% of a salary. That's staggering. The pandemic caused many workers to reassess what are their priorities and what are my goals. Now, you saw this. If you're an employer, if you're a hiring manager, you went through this to some way, shape, or form, some worse than others. And people were reassessing, what am I doing? What am I doing with my life? What do I want my work-life balance to look like? Much of what we took for granted about people, what they value and what they expect from a work environment, it was scrapped, thrown to the wayside, and new, unfamiliar forms of what this was took place. And you probably felt the pain of that. In the wake of so much upheaval that took place during this time, how much effort and time have you and your organization made to understand the shifts that took place? Because I think what we can all agree on right now is, oh yeah, there was absolutely a shift, and oh my gosh, I don't want to do that again. And by the way, many of us are still feeling the effects of this and recovering from it and still feeling the lingering effects of high turnover and so forth. Okay, great. We've identified a problem. We've identified an opportunity. How much effort and time have you put in to understand why did this happen and how do we auto-correct? And what can we do to ensure that our most prized team members stick around for the long haul? How much time do you spend with a whiteboard and a dry erase marker coming up with that plan? Because if you're not investing time into this, I promise you, you're going to be investing time into this in other ways. I suggest we get ahead of it. So I'm going to share with you the top 5 reasons that I've observed of why employees will stick around and how leaders can ensure that they're doing their part to make this happen. And if you get this right, I promise you it's going to be the biggest competitive advantage that your company has. Reason number one, and by far, if I were ranking them, and I'm not, but if I were, this would be number one. Work-life balance. Full stop. My gosh, if you get this one, and look, you're saying, Jeff, that's a moving target. I hope you're about to drop some knowledge on us. Well, I don't have the magical answer, but here's what I do know. A recent national survey showed that 68% of employees preferred a work-life balance over even higher pay. So those of you that were on the whiteboard saying, we got to pay people more, we need better benefits, we need this, put money in their pocket, run more sales contests. I'm not telling you not to do that. You should do that. But that's not what people want. People want balance. They want harmony. This is such a vast topic, though, and I get it. It's like, how do we pack all this into reason number one? I'm not going to. I'm going to surface it on today's episode, but I will tell you, we're going to dive deep into this in another episode, because I'll bet many of you listening, you're constantly scratching your head to try to figure out, how do I get this done? Make sure that you come back after this two-part series that we're embarking on, as I'm going to be dedicating an entire episode to this topic of work-life balance. This certainly warrants a level of attention from me and from you, as I have seen that the companies that I support that are putting a lot of energy and a lot of strategic planning into this, they're scoring the highest in the retention category, not to mention the recruitment category as well. Because if you have great people that are highly engaged with their work, guess what? They become your best recruiters. And I get it. It is a moving target. Work-life balance is going to look different for everyone. If you ask 100 people what it looks like, you might get 100 different answers. Helping employees achieve a work-life balance, what it requires of you, the leader, is listening to your people, as well as saying, what's the flexible approach to find out what works best? But what I know is this: doing nothing is not moving the needle for you. Burnout and stress are among the top reasons why employees say that they are ready to look for another job. And you might be listening today and saying, yeah, but back in my day, we just sucked it up and moved on. Rub dirt in it, take a lap. Well, congratulations. I don't make the rules here. I'm just telling you, this is what the labor force, by and large, is saying. If you're not thinking about what this looks like for your organization, you're already working from behind, and you got to get moving right away. Here's some starter questions to ask yourself about this work-life balance category. How often do you, as a leader, email or message your team outside of normal work hours and create the expectation that they reply in the evenings or on weekends? Now, I'm not hating you, because this is a big opportunity for me. I'm looking right in the mirror. I get busy. I'm moving fast. I want things to happen. Something pops in my mind at 8 o'clock for John on the team, and bang, there goes an email. Boom, there goes a text. Maybe not a text, but definitely an email. Should I just put that thing on auto send for 8 a.m.? Am I creating an expectation on John that he's got to get this done right away? I think about this, and I talk to my team about it a lot of, the good news is we all run pretty fast. But then as I'm thinking about this, I'm like, are they really running as fast as me, or are they just saying what I want to hear? I don't know. But I got to be asking myself these questions. The other question is, do you truly encourage employees to use all of their paid time off? And do you support them in their absence? I've had leaders in the past that would kind of brag about not using all their vacation, and it made you wonder, should I be using all my vacation? Hey, you know what, Hanch, sometimes the mission's the mission. Sometimes you're not going to be able to use all your vacation days. I mean, look at me. I get 4 weeks of pay. I might use 2 of them a year, and it's almost like you got to feel pain in order to win around here. If you're not feeling some level of pain and not giving up vacation days, you're probably not going to be promoted. Is that the culture? Now, I know what the policy says. The policy says people get 4 weeks off. But are you creating this tension where people almost feel guilty for taking the days off that you've already said that they could have? Stay tuned for an episode dedicated to this topic, because we're going to break this down a little further. If those 2 questions challenged you, buckle up, because we're going to dive deep into this, and it might put a little pressure on you. Reason number 2, sense of purpose. Sense of purpose is why people stay. It can be easy for team meetings, one-on-one connection with your people to be dominated by the issues of the day and the execution of the business strategy. And I get it. Those things are necessary. But we often get so busy that we miss vital opportunities to help employees reflect on the purpose of their work. What are they in it for? How is what they're doing making impact? How does what they do specifically impact the overall organization? Does it have an impact on their community or more broadly, society? And are we tying that impact into their day-to-day work? Are we continually talking about this as leaders? Are we casting the vision around purpose of our work? Because man, now it's like, okay, what I do matters. And most importantly, how does their work impact the outcomes that are meaningful to them? Their why, as we call it. How does their work impact what's personally meaningful to them? To answer this question, you got to understand what drives each employee's sense of purpose. And look, we got to be intentional about this. We got to make the connection between what they do and what matters most to them. And look, here's the thing. What matters most to you as a leader, it's kind of irrelevant. And what you think should matter most to them is also kind of irrelevant. We have to be good at listening, and we got to be good at asking questions to find out, what does true purpose mean to them? Do you know why success is important to your team members? Do you know what drives them to be their best? What are they working so hard to achieve? What if you knew the answer to that? Would you be a leader then that would be well positioned to help them tie purpose into their work? When you can tie purpose into work, you're creating a culture of engagement versus one of compliance. As you consider these two areas of work-life balance, and you're creating a sense of purpose on your team while fighting for the work-life balance, and you're assessing these two areas, how would you rank yourself as a leader? What can you do differently in your organization that would show your people that you are intentional and that you are employee-centric, that you're member-centric? For most of us, we're only as good as the teams that we build. We have transcended being an individual contributor. We are now a team-building leader. I hope this series is going to challenge you to find a whiteboard and a dry erase marker and begin to build your own strategy to retain your best employees. And by all means, don't do this alone. And if you're frustrated and don't know where to begin, we would love to help. Email us at info@jeffhancher.com. Be sure to join us next week for this two-part series of the 5 reasons employees will stay with you. Until then, endear and engage your people and keep turning the pressure into potential.